one of these days, I'm going to have one of these fancy podcast intros, like a jingle, right? But today is not that day. So today...
Can you sing it for me? Like, can you just make it up on the spot?
It would be kind of like... Bim bum 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 bum. Welcome back to the Arekkz Gaming Podcast.
Oh, that was pro.
That was terrible. I feel like maybe you got guitars in the back. Where's my backing track? But I'm not going to make
next
it.
Time.
Next time. But anyway, how you guys doing? Welcome back to episode 2 of the Arekkz Gaming Podcast. And today, I'm joined by a good friend of mine, the legendary Hamish Bode. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? It's Friday afternoon. I just finished work for the week. And I actually don't have to work this weekend. And some cool stuff's happening next week and crazy times.
Oh, yes. Yeah, it is crazy times. I was just sort of saying that, like, it's almost like suddenly developers are like, hey, man, did you know there was a first quarter of the year? Let's release everything in Q1, right? But today it's kind of funny because obviously now I'm on the opposite side, right? Like, I was on your podcast before, and now you are the interviewee. There you go. That's the one.
It feels weird, man. I don't know how to do this side of the thing.
Hey, well, we're gonna wing it. So today, okay, we're gonna chat about games because obviously that's kind of the main purpose of this. Also, want to chat a bit about kind of like NGON and some of the cool stuff there, and also just sort of like some techie stuff. So we're just gonna like ramble about some cool stuff. But first things first, just in case, I'm pretty sure everybody knows, but in case they don't know, who are you? Where do you work? What do you do? Who are you, Hamish? Talk to me.
My name is Hamish Bode. I'm a senior community developer at Massive Entertainment here in Sweden. That's a studio that is owned by Ubisoft, and I've been here for almost 6 years.
That is a long time. Yeah. And you've been in the industry for a fair bit longer, right? Because you've been... Where did you start in the industry, in kind of games?
AAA or before?
Let's start way back. Let's go all the way back.
Oh my gosh. So I guess the first games-related things that I was doing, game adjacent. I was actually working as a 3D artist at a visualization firm. We used to do like wind farm visualizations for government projects and that sort of thing. And during that time, I was like, I'm just going to teach myself how to do game art as well, just on the side.
Fair.
And then through that, I got involved in some indie projects.
Okay.
And one of those was called Primal Carnage, which was a dinosaurs versus humans shooter thing that we did ages ago, which got released on Steam. And I also had a few other little random bits and pieces. I did some like 2D illustration for a kid's Flash dinosaur game.
Fair. I'm liking the dinosaur themes. Dinosaurs are a solid choice.
I'm a dinosaur fan.
Oh yeah, you got to be, right? I mean, like, if you don't like dinosaurs, like have you? Who are you, right? I mean,
I know, right? So what's your favorite dinosaur? You gotta have one.
It's got to be the T-Rex, right? I almost feel like if I could go back and rebrand, I should have called myself Arekkz as opposed to Arekkz. So then then the logo could have just been like a T-Rex with like an A or like a chain around its neck. Like, imagine that.
That's gangster.
That would be so cool, right? What about you? What dinosaur? What are we talking?
It depends what day you ask me, but like.
Okay, what's your Wednesday dinosaur?
Sorry?
What's your Wednesday dinosaur?
My Wednesday dinosaur is probably like a Parasaurolophus, which is like one of those like duck-billed crested ones.
Yeah.
I'm also a Triceratops fan, and
that's got to be done.
And then usually an Ankylosaur as well. Those are my top three.
Which one's the Ankylosaur? I know some names, but
the guy that has like the club on his tail and has a lot of.
Oh yes, yeah.
The technical term is osteoderms, but skull, like bone plates.
Basically, a dinosaur armadillo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. Okay, solid. Yeah. There needs to be more dinosaur games, right? I feel like there's just like nowadays there's just not enough.
No, exactly. I feel like we've gone through this whole there's a lot of tropes that seem to be trendy at any given time, and you have your like zombies, right? Like you had DayZ and I'm forgetting the other shooter. Oh my god.
Left 4 Dead?
Yes, Left 4 Dead.
That's the one, yeah.
Like zombies were a thing, and then you had, other stuff and pirates, pirates right now. Where's the dinosaur freaking game?
I know, right? Like what? I mean, apart from Monster Hunter, I mean, like, I don't really have
dinosaurs,
Yeah, true. I mean, the last one that I played was, I can't remember what it was now. It was on Steam. It was, I forget the name, but you don't actually play as dinosaur, but there's like, you play as a caveman, and it's not Ark, but you play as like a caveman on this island, and then you can go and tame them, but then people can also kidnap you, and I think my last experience with that was someone kidnapped me and just dragged me across the beach and put me in a cage, so didn't go down too well.
I feel like we need a AAA dinosaur game.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I'll pitch it to Ubisoft and see what happens.
Do it.
I don't like my chances, but I'll give it a go.
I'll put some cash on the table. I might not have a big budget, but I'll try it. But okay, so you did that, and then where did you go from dinosaur creation?
So during that time, that was kind of just like unpaid, do it over Skype, get some knowledge and experience. But during that time, I was working in like advertising. I worked as a motion graphics artist at Ogilvy, which is a big advertising agency globally, but also in New Zealand. So that's how I kind of learned After Effects, and I guess we'll circle back to that in a little bit. And I worked as a digital producer for a small agency, me and a few other people. So I was kind of like a web and digital producer. We made the websites for like Scream 4 and that sort of thing. So did some things there. And then during that time, I was like, let's leave New Zealand. And started applying overseas at a bunch of different places. And I was looking at like Vancouver, a few places there.
Yeah.
I basically looked all over the place for game studios, and I must have put out, I don't know, 25, 50 applications for a lot of places. And you don't hear back from a lot of places. But I got one interview of all of the applications that I put in, and it was at Blizzard.
Fair.
Of all places. I mean, awesome. I was like, okay, well, that's, kind of didn't seem real at the time. That my favorite company.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Going back, I mean, I rated like hardcore vanilla WoW. I played Diablo 2 for like 10 years. I was like competitive on the US West hardcore ladder.
Really?
Like I Blizzard were kind of my biggest gaming history.
Yeah.
So it kind of seemed a bit crazy. And I had interviews with them over Skype. Actually with Joey Ray Hall, who was the head of cinematics. He's one of the original Blizzard guys.
Okay.
He made all like the Warcraft 1 and 2 cinematics. So you'll probably recognize him. You played Warcraft, right?
Yeah. Oh,
do you remember that one?
Like, WoW. Wait, do we mean WoW or do we mean Warcraft as in like the...
Warcraft, like...
No, I came in WoW.
Okay. But like there's the cinematic of like the orc boats like going over the harbour. And that was Joey Ray's cinematic. Like,
right.
So there's people that were a huge deal were suddenly interviewing me over Skype. And also Renee Coiter, who... Have you ever seen a guy from Blizzard who had like a Khal Drogo cosplay and he's jacked?
I think so. I think I've seen that for... Yeah, I think so.
So that's Renee.
Yeah. Okay.
And he interviewed me as well. And that was for a media artist position on the community and esports team, but doing... Yeah, like the media side of things. So
right.
Making videos and all of that. So after that interview, did it over Skype from New Zealand, and they were like, "Oh, well, would you be interested in coming up to California for an interview?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Like, I'd love to come and check it out." And then weeks passed, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird." And they were like, screw it, you got the job. Just move here."
What?
And I'd never been. So my girlfriend and I ended up moving there without any knowledge of the place. I mean, she'd been to Disneyland as a kid. I'd never been.
Right.
But I had no idea what the area was like. And I loved Blizzard, but Irvine was not a good fit. But I had a good time at Blizzard. It was cool. Got to do some really cool stuff. I was there during Diablo 3 launch, Mists of Pandaria.
Oh, nice.
We announced Hearthstone, which was a fun time. And what else did we... Heart of the Swarm as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So it's a big times, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Nice. And then after that, I guess you ended up here, right?
Yeah, so like I said, Irvine wasn't a great fit for us for a variety of reasons, but we were like, let's... we didn't want to go back to New Zealand, so... investigated, where else could we go? And as you know, a lot of Kiwis end up in London. So that was kind of kind of on the cards as well. We were like, we could just go to London and see what happens, because we can... my grandmother's actually, she was from Rugby, so I can get an ancestry visa pretty easily that way.
Cool.
But then I found out about Massive because of actually a website forum that I used to frequent called Polycount. I used to write for them, actually. And... yeah, I found out, there's this place, Massive. It's in Malmö. Never heard of it. I'd never heard of Malmö before in my life. And I started researching because a couple of the artists on there were talking about this project. Actually, no, they weren't talking about the project. They were talking about the studio because the division hadn't been announced.
Yeah.
Because this is back in early 2013.
Okay.
Actually, no, I must have investigated Massive at the end of 2012 because I interviewed in January 2013. And so, yeah, flew over here for that interview and then kind of fell in love with the place. And
yeah, it's a really cool place. Kind of very sort of similar thing. Like pre-Division, I'd never even heard of Malmo. I didn't even know it was on the map, right? And then, then it came along, and like I've only been there a couple of times on press trips, but it's a really cool small place. But it's a really cool place.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's awesome. And now, suddenly I turn around and it's been 6 years. It's kind of crazy.
That's crazy. But yeah, that is an impressive journey. That's quite a lot of experience. So it's fair to say, right? Games are obviously in your blood. And now, let's talk about games that we play, right? Because obviously, like you're a big Soulsborne fan, right? I'm trying to work on my segues, by the way. 100%. I appreciate that's not my segues are not quite there yet, but forgive me. But yeah, so you're a big Soulsborne fan, right? So like I remember when Dark Souls 3, because I came into the series quite late, right? And I remember when Dark Souls 3 came out, we were talking about it a fair bit. But obviously, the hot topic right now is Sekiro. So like how?
Oh my god.
It's like super exciting, right? So have you actually had a chance to? Because I know whenever you go to like event stuff, you're obviously always working, so you don't have much time. Yeah. Have you had a chance to play it at all?
Nope, haven't touched it. I know literally what I've seen from like 2 trailers, and that's it.
Are you specifically trying to go in dark, or are you?
Yeah, totally. The only thing I have seen is the most recent trailer and what I saw at the Microsoft press. Was it Microsoft that showed it at E3? Because we were sitting in there for Division stuff.
Yeah.
And I just remember seeing like, you see the camera angle, you see the type of combat, and I was like, that's FromSoft. Like, of course.
Yeah.
Like, I was so psyched. Like, I knew they were working on something, but like, man, it looks so good. And you've played it, so I mean, no spoilers.
That's the thing. I mean, like, obviously, I'm going to cut back what I was going to say now because I want if you're trying to go in dark, I don't want to ruin that for you. But yeah, I mean, like from what you've seen, like because. Have you played all of the Soulsborne games? Like, how far have you been in the series?
So I've played all of the Dark Souls. I didn't play Demon Souls.
Fair.
I came into it with Dark Souls 1. Actually, when I moved to California, I didn't have a PC. I didn't take it with me from New Zealand. So I bought a PS3 because they were super cheap when I got there. And Dark Souls was the first game that I got because it was on sale, and I was like, hey, I like the look of that game. And I also got NBA 2K. 13 or something because 2K12 because it was a great game. But yeah, so that was my first experience with Dark Souls. And then obviously Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3. I played a touch of Bloodborne, but I don't own a PS4. I played it at a friend's house. Fair. But I've never finished it or played it through. But that's it. So, but I've played a lot of Dark Souls. I've played Dark Souls again on Switch because
I need to go back and play that. Yeah,
it's been my go-to. It's really good.
Okay. And how are you? So what's your play style now? Because that's nice cat.
Sorry, cat.
That's fine. What's your? Because the interesting thing that I found about this, like, obviously, I'm not going to speak about like actual gameplay and stuff specifically, but you know how like all the Soulsborne, they've kind of got different like identities, right? So Dark Souls is kind of quite defensive. Bloodborne is very offensive. Like this is how are you at parrying in games?
I would say I'm average.
Yeah.
I'm not super good at it. My most recent playthrough. So Dark Souls 3, I kind of played like the Sephiroth fantasy, like I got the Uchigatana early.
Yeah.
And did that. And that was a lot of fun because that's kind of different from how I would usually play. A lot of my playthroughs of Dark Souls have just been like, sword and board.
Yeah. That's me.
Although my most recent Dark Souls playthrough on Switch has been like a cleric.
Oh, okay. So I've never really been a magic person myself.
Yeah, so like a plus 15 mace.
Okay.
And that's like sunlight blade miracles and stuff. It's that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Because that's my interesting thing sort of going into it. Like, that's my experience with gameplay. Is like I'm terrible. Like I couldn't parry to save my life, apart from in Breath of the Wild, where I taught myself how to do it because like it was kind of cool parrying like a laser beam from a Guardian. Apart from that,
those are cool.
I was just like, this is I feel like I'm gonna die a lot more in this game than I ever have before, but. Setting wise, it is fantastic. But fair enough. The fact that you're trying to go into the dark, I'm not going to talk about that too much. But the other thing, I obviously know that you are also a massive Zelda fan. Right?
Yes. Huge. I mean, we've talked about that a lot. Like we have. I think early on we both recognized that our favorite game probably ever was Ocarina of Time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I still remember like that. That's probably the game. And it's hard for me to say if that's my favorite game ever now. Like, but I think in terms of the games that's left. Like a lasting impression on everything. it's probably Ocarina, like one of my favorite childhood games.
Yeah, so good.
Like 100%. I have so many vivid memories of that game, and I get chills kind of every time whenever I play it again, or I watch other people play it, and I hear when you first go out into like Hyrule Field, and that like the music just kicks in.
Yeah, it's so
and, like, there's so many moments in that game that just like I don't know, it just it's everything.
No, I mean, no, I definitely agree with you on that one. But like, have you played Link to the Past? Because obviously we're getting a remake for that now, right? Super quick intermission here. I totally meant to say Link's Awakening, not Link to the Past. So if you're listening to this in audio format, please don't get excited. We're not getting a Link to the Past on Switch yet. I hope we do one day. But what I meant to say was Link's Awakening.
You know what? I haven't.
You haven't? Oh, this is going to be amazing. Okay.
Yes. So, I mean, I haven't played through all of it.
Okay, fair.
I have played various emulated versions of it. So.
Fair enough. It's all right. We won't tell anyone. No, but fair enough. But yeah, have you seen the trailer for it? Because it looks fantastic.
Yes. No, I've looked at it super closely, and I'm really, really, really excited about it. I'm still waiting for the Nintendo 64 Zelda games to come to Switch.
Oh,
please, I really want the remaster of Ocarina. And when I say the remastered, I would just want the version that they put out on 3DS.
Yeah. I'll take that. I'll fully take that.
That'll do. And also Majora's on Switch.
Give me that. Give me Majora's. Give me Wind Waker HD. Give me like Skyward. Like, basically just bring out the Switch Mega Collection with every Zelda game ever.
I think it'll happen. I think the Switch has been so successful, and I've already because there's already some of the legacy titles that came out really early with the online.
Yeah.
Which is cool. But I mean, like Nintendo have to know that there's such a market for basically releasing the back catalog on Switch.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
I mean,
they know.
Yeah, they're probably just waiting, right? They're gonna wait until they kind of get that lull, and they'll be like, okay, it's gonna be like a year until our next game. I know, we'll just release everything, right? They're probably just biding their time, but yeah,
that's gonna run. Like, just I guess it like look, I don't know. I'm completely. Absolutely hypothesizing.
Yeah, of course,
Don't use my knowledge of being in the game industry as knowing any advanced knowledge. But I hope and pray for Ocarina and Majora's on Switch.
Yeah, that would be They are games that I need to replay frequently. So yeah, definitely. But I suppose, obviously, moving on from there, obviously, like one of the other things is switching focus to now what like you're doing, because being able to kind of cover a lot of different games, being able to play different games is something you guys get to do on NGON. Obviously not necessarily other platforms as much, but talk to me about NGON, because I remember speaking to you like way back when you guys started this, like when it was like literally like your kind of brainchild idea, and now you guys are like well over 100k now, right? Like you guys are like massive on that.
I checked today, we're like 155.
That's awesome.
On YouTube, I mean, to be fair, like we've kind of cheated because because I mean it's not entirely organic, because we do have a lot of giveaways which are cool,
Fair
but
enough.
Also we are different from other people in that we are a Ubisoft channel and we are a Uplay channel first and foremost. But the idea kind of came about through, I guess, my own frustrations with developers not really having an outlet to be able to talk about things that aren't like, it can be quite limiting when you have like a singular brand to talk about, because developers are so much more than that, right? They're more than just the game that they work on. They have bigger interests and they have a lot more to add to various conversations. I think one of the things that I've wanted to do for so long is provide educational content. That was
100%.
one of the key goals, right? Like, developers know so much, and not me, but like there's so many smart people who work on games. But I feel like once you get into one of those AAA titles or AAA studios, you kind of stop talking about it. Like you're like, okay, I'm done. Like I'm doing it now. What do I really? What's my motivation for talking about or passing on knowledge to other people? And I get it. No, I get it.
Yeah.
Like it's the same in any industry, you know. So I wanted to kind of provide an outlet for that, and Code School kind of
that was really
came out of that whole
awesome
thing. And then there's, you know, being a little bit more open to talking about other things, and like the NGON podcast. I just released one today with Bjorn, who's the
nice.
online technical director of the Division 2, and we kind of go into like really, really deep details about, you know, how the servers work for the Division 2, what it's like, and those aren't really mainstream topics that make sense to talk about, you know, on a Division channel, for example.
Of course, yeah.
You know? But there's definitely a niche audience who really want to know super nerdy stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm enjoying it.
No, I think the thing is, I think that stuff is really important because it's kind of what we spoke about before. It's like whenever, typically, like from the public eye, like what you normally see of like studios is like the kind of like the sort of the front facing stuff. Like, you know, they'll show you the art team, or they'll show you like what the kind of game designers want to talk about, but you never really get to see like the stuff that ultimately makes it work, right? Like you know, what the programmers get up to, or the infrastructure. I mean, everyone's important, to be clear, right? But like, yeah, that's something that I thought was, because, you know, obviously from my time in the industry and stuff, like knowing all everything that kind of goes on behind the scenes. I mean, the fact that you can shine some light on that, I think is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I think so too. I remember going back to that time when I was interviewing for Blizzard, and no, even before that, because, you know, when they announced Diablo 3, I still remember where I was.
Yeah.
Like, I still remember that whole, the two demos. They released the Wizard and the Barbarian demo.
Okay.
And I spent so long online just trying to get any information about anything. Like, not even necessarily about Diablo, but what's going on at Blizzard, or what's going on here. Like, give me absolutely anything. Mm-hmm. And they had the Blizzard podcast, and I was like, that's so cool. But I just wanted to get anything. Just give me more.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even necessarily need to be particularly about the game. I just want to know about the people who are working on stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's kind of a way to add more that doesn't really have, I think, a home. And also the other goal of it, and if I'm putting on my kind of, you know, salesman hat again for the whole NGON thing, I kind of feel, and this is, and you might feel this too, being on the YouTube side of things, one of my biggest frustrations with the industry over the past few years is it feels like there's a bit of animosity between devs and players, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
Well, because, you know,
of course,
often it can be directed at us, but I feel like what everyone's kind of forgotten is, one, that games are really cool, and two, that it's the people that make them are like just motivated by making cool stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And they absolutely love what they do, and I think that gets lost when you're just focusing on, one, we have a product, and two, here it is.
Yes.
Like there's so much more. And I mean, we did that with, I think we've done a really good job with NGON, but I mean, that kind of whole philosophy has been part of what we've done with, I think, pretty well with the Division through things like State of the Game, and we've streamed like infinite amounts of gameplay, because it's, I think, really important to not just talk to players all the time, but actively listen, and not just not just through reports or like, you know, this is shown up on Twitter these amounts of times, but give people a way to talk directly to developers. And I know, and I don't mean me as a developer, but like, you know, have a kind of way to not yell at a studio, but directly say something to the studio.
Yeah. No, I think, no, 100%. I think, and you can kind of sort of see, it's almost like, again, sort of, I mean, since sort of State of the Game back in Division 1 times, I'm seeing like a lot more developers now try and sort of do this, because I guess it's quite difficult. I mean, you know, on one hand, they want to speak about everything, and people don't necessarily always have knowledge of like the red tape and what kind of holds people back. But then on the flip side, I you know, I definitely get that frustration, because, as you said, with this sort of animosity between them, like when you do have people openly speaking, suddenly any time someone's got a frustration, they're just gonna send that to whoever they can first speak to, right? So, but I think it's definitely like nice to be able to break down those barriers and sort of like, you know, show the human side behind it, because it's exactly as you said. I mean, like game developers, like they literally like make, you know, that's why they make games, right? They make games because they like games, totally. And sure, obviously, you know, everyone plays them to different extents because they're busy working, but yeah, I think I mean that's something that, I genuinely, I love all the stuff you guys have been doing on NGON and stuff, so I think it's nice to sort of see that. So here's hoping it kind of continues to grow, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I want to keep doing it.
Yeah, what's like? Do you have anything like? What's your next kind of ambition for NGON, or is that secret still?
No, I mean, I don't mind talking about it. It's all kind of philosophical ambition at this point.
Yeah, of course.
I think this year we were kind of unsure. Well, because we've been so busy with the division, we haven't really had time to do as much as we wanted. But like, for example, the podcast, what I really want to do is kind of switch it or take it in a more specific direction where we go really deep on specific things that, because I think in the first year we did a lot of podcasts that were surrounding on like what life is like at Massive, and that's really cool. But there are other people in the studio that can do that. So like the massive channels and those sorts of things have been taking care of that. And I didn't, I think it's more fitting that they do that, and then we focus on the things that maybe they can't, right? So
of course, yeah.
The really deep, like hyper nerdy cross sections and analysis of even I would love to go to the level of, you know, art pipelines and you know, render programming and these sorts of things, which aren't really the types of things that you would expect a studio to talk about.
No, of course,
but,
yeah.
Yeah, like for example, I mean, I would love to do like streams about Snowdrop. Like this is how we put together like a node graph to make this thing happen. And that doesn't really have a home just yet. And I'm really hoping that NGON can be a home for that kind of stuff, or that level of nerdiness.
Yeah, no, definitely. I will fully watch all that stuff. So yeah, that's here's hoping. I suppose the other nice thing about it as well, I mean, is obviously that it allows you to do so many different things, because you don't do just one thing now. I mean, you kind of just do like, you can turn your hand to anything, right? And I suppose that sort of leads into the techie aspect of things now, because I mean, like, you've kind of picked up so many different skills along the way, kind of doing what you're doing that. And I mean, like, one of those I kind of want to sort of touch on as well was like After Effecks. So we speak about this a fair bit, but it's sort of like your because your approach to it was quite different, wasn't it? It's not like, you know, not kind of conventional schooling on this stuff. You just sort of picked up as you went along.
No, I've kind of I've never studied anything that I'm doing now officially. Yeah. After high school in New Zealand, I went to jazz school. I studied music for a few years, and then during that whole time, actually, I kind of was a Photoshop enthusiast, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
So I kind of taught myself that way, and during that time, I actually started I basically registered myself as a freelancer, like a business in New Zealand, and I was shipping my Photoshop skills out to local businesses and agencies for random graphic design and photo stuff. Yeah. So I kind of learnt that way whilst studying music, and then I left music school, and the band I was in at the time got a record deal, so I was, I guess, a professional musician for a few years.
Hey, there we go.
If you look online, you'll find some stuff. I think our album is still on iTunes.
Really? Oh, yes. Amazing.
So you can track it down. But yeah, so the whole graphic design thing has always been self-taught. So it started off with Photoshop, and then I got into some 3D through actually, because I had friends who were doing like architecture, and I was like, hey, Cinema 4D looks cool. I'm interested in that. And then I found 3ds Max, which is how I got that job at the firm I talked about with you earlier. But then the After Effects thing was actually with Ogilvy when I was looking around for another job. And they were like, oh, we're looking for motion graphics people. Do you know After Effects? And I was like, yes. Sure. Yeah. So I interviewed with them, and they were like, okay, cool. Can you start next week? And I was like, yeah, I guess. And I went home and I was like, shit, I should learn After Effects. So I found Video Copilot, and I did Andrew Kramer's like 10-step basic tutorials, and that saved me. But yeah, really got thrown in the deep end with After Effects, and that was the best way to learn. Yeah. And I'm not an expert by any means, but anyone from New Zealand who saw the supermarket ads for Countdown circa 2012 will have seen my work. I also did. What else did I do? I did some of the ads for Coca-Cola.
Oh, really?
For the Rugby World Cup, actually. I think it was the World Cup. I remember it was like All Blacks and Coca-Cola, and I actually did some of the like fluid simulation for that. That wasn't After Effects. That was Real Flow.
I can't
remember the software I used.
It's like a plugin for it, right?
But that was After Effects. No, it was like a super specific fluid simulator that I ended up using there. But that was where I learned After Effects at Ogilvy in 2012. But again, basics. I was never like an expert.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think that's the best way to learn, really. Like a lot of the time, you kind of just throw yourself in the deep end and like pick it up as you go. I mean, that's half the stuff that I've done with videos. It's funny, like talking about starting out on Photoshop. I mean, like I don't know what your sort of when you were in your enthusiast days, where you started. But I used to start making like forum signatures, like back in the forum days. Like that was have my own little like forum shop, and people would be like, "Yo, I want a signature with like Kratos on it or something." I'm like, "Don't worry, I got you, man." And I go away.
That's what I did for my WoW guild, like all the time.
Amazing.
Like I did all their forum sigs, and like I think I even like that was probably the first time I used any video software, was making like videos of our. Oh yeah, no, that's probably even before I learned how to do forum signatures videos, and my first taste of 3D wasn't actually that. It was making like a logo reveal for our guild.
Amazing.
Yeah, which was it was a Horde side guild called Casuals on Khazgaroth, so Khaz.
I like that.
And yeah, so I think there might even be a rating video out there somewhere with my old 3D on it.
That is brilliant.
It was probably, from memory, it must have been like the Razorgore fight. Anyway, a long time ago.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, I mean that is quite the resume. but I mean that's basically all I've got for today. I mean I didn't want to sort of like keep you for too long. I super appreciate you spending the time. But thank you for joining me on episode 2.
A lot of fun.
This has been awesome. Hopefully this kind of grows. I need to get some tips from you, because I need to work on my podcasting as we're going. But I feel like it was good. It's good to kind of catch up, good to chat.
It's a lot of fun, man. I will always answer the phone when you call. You're my favorite, so
thank you.
Likewise,
I'll always be there. Too. Awesome. Well, thank you very much. So in the interim, like I'll be sure to kind of like, for any of you guys watching, I'll link if you're listening to this in podcast, I'll link it in the relevant place. If it's on the channel, it'll be down below. Check out NGON, check out the stuff that Hamish is up to. I'll link his Twitter as well. Keep up to date. He's working on some super awesome stuff. You guys don't want to miss it. But otherwise, thank you so much, and I'll catch up with you next time.
Bye.